Cheers, guys. Wish I could be there.
Yeah,
Cheers.
man. We got the news today that Ozzy has gone home. He has...
Yes.
The crazy train has pulled into the last stop.
To use the British term, I'm just gutted myself. I mean, that guy's been around all of my life as a musician and supplying music to my generation all of my life. So, I mean, geez. Yeah, very sad.
Ozzy was my Elvis, to be perfectly honest.
Wow.
Like, he really
That's
was.
hardcore.
On the Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, he's the number one pick. And if you don't put him on your Mount Rushmore, then I don't even want to hear it. You know?
There are only a couple of musicians that hit me hard when they passed. One is Tom Petty. Prince was another. Michael Jackson, though he was an icon, not so much. But Ozzy Osbourne today is another one of those where you go, wow, okay, damn it.
It's kind of crazy because Back to the Beginning came out just recently.
2 weeks back, I think, only.
And it was a little bittersweet.
He seemed so alive and so present. He crushed it. Now, knowing what we know, it was the most epic send-off, I think, for a rock star. Hands down, that'll ever happen.
I just the timing of it is so interesting because his show in Birmingham was amazing. I mean, what an amazing tribute. And then to get this sad news now.
To be honest, I think most fans are still buzzing from it, from the excitement of it. And then now getting hit in the face with this, it's just kind of like...
I'm a little confused.
Yeah, it's like going 100 miles an hour then hitting a brick wall, you know?
Just to kind of put in place what an icon he was to all of us. Look at the number of other iconic musicians that showed up to that event.
In a quirky, morbid kind of way, and we're talking about the Prince of Darkness, so I think I can say this. that will go down as the best send-off, farewell, funeral before a funeral of all time. Ozzy got to get his flowers literally 2 weeks before he died. And I think maybe some people kind of knew that, and that's why a lot of people were like, okay, drop everything we're doing, Guns N' Roses, everybody and their mother, drop everything we're doing because Ozzy's got one last rodeo and we want to be there for him.
That's a legacy.
Oh man,
over 50 years. Shit, 57 years.
When you were a kid in the 80s, he was like Diary of a Madman, crazy, biting heads off bats.
Didn't he get in trouble for pissing at the...
Alamo, he got banned from the Alamo for pissing on the Alamo. But, you know, as a kid, you hear these stories, you're like, he's crazy. And then he doesn't back it up with just being a crazy man. He backs it up with Crazy Train, Bark at the Moon, all those Shot in the Dark, all those legendary songs. And he's got the best guitar players on the earth playing with him. So you have this mythicism. It all gave us something to imagine, like, this guy's bigger than life. He is the real Prince of Darkness. He doesn't give a damn. He's crazy.
So when you're as a kid and you're hearing all these stories, and then the TV show comes out, and all of a sudden he's just a sitcom dad, what does that do to you?
It was bittersweet because, you know, I was old enough to understand what was going on, and, you know, I would see like college kids. I think at that time I was living in West Los Angeles, and I was dating a girl who went to a school in Marina Del Rey, and I would go to her house, and I was 21 or 22, and she was 19 or 20, and she had never heard of Ozzy, but she loved the Osbournes. So I'm like educating her. I'm like, this is the Prince of Darkness, and we'd get in the car, and she'd say, put some Ozzy on.
That show introduced Ozzy Osbourne to an entirely new audience that knew nothing about him before.
The reason the show worked, and it would not have worked for Nikki Sixx, it wouldn't have worked for any of those crazy rock stars, is because Ozzy didn't play his role straight. He played his role as the aloof, crazy rock star who was just out of his mind, like, Sharon, come help me with the cereal.
And the genius of that show was he was the patriarch.
100%.
He would do the confessionals at the end in his dark dungeon man cave with his goblet, and he would sit there and just reminisce about rock and roll. But then throughout the day, he's yelling at the cats.
Cat piss is the fucking worst.
He's trying to open up DVD cases.
And for-
you know,
and
he's
for-
a mess.
And for guys like me, it didn't take away from the mythicism. It actually added to it in a way, but it gave it a little humanized.
Yeah.
It made him human.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, when they try to computerize his home and he couldn't get the TV to work.
I pressed his one button and the shower started. I'm going, what is this?
With all these buttons, you could give you a fucking blowjob as well as come on the television. Press blowjob.
You know, all of that stuff. He was all of us in that moment, and then he goes to a show and there's bubbles floating around, and he tells Sharon, he's like,
Bubbles! Oh, come on, Sharon. I'm fucking Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of fucking Darkness. When do the male models come on and start stroking?
It was wonderful. Absolutely.
and honestly, for diehard fans, they did not need that reality show. But without that reality show, I do think Ozzy would have slipped into, you know, the ether decades
that's
ago.
a hell of a point. I think you're right.
And I think it gave him new life too.
Yeah, he literally is the godfather of metal. I mean, he's been, he's been called that a few times, and it's true. It's absolutely true. That's a perfect title for him. So he blazed the trail.
How did Black Sabbath end?
I think there was some issues with the band and Ozzy, and they kind of went their own way, and the band picked up a new singer. They had several singers, like Dio was in the band, and they had a handful of singers. But what happened was, everybody counted Ozzy out except Sharon, who was working with him. And Sharon said, "We're gonna do this." And they found the magic potion with Randy Rhoads, and he come out and just shoved it up everybody's ass with Crazy Train.
That whole album is just phenomenal. It just it was one of those shocking albums like Van Halen 1 or like the first Guns N' Roses album. It just when it came out, it was just shocking to everybody, and everybody absolutely loved it. I mean, they were like, "Wait, what is this?" And it was amazing.
You think about the guitar players he introduced to the world, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, Zakk Wylde, Joe Holmes. I mean, these guys are going to go down in infamy as guitar legends because they played with Ozzy. That was such a, feather in the cap to even audition for Ozzy. There were guitar players that would literally audition for Ozzy that would get a big gig because he was considered for Ozzy,
There's so many iconic songs, but I do think Crazy Train is going to be the one. Listening to it, that guitar never stops. If you listen to it, you put that on and you just sit back and just listen to the guitar. It's relentless.
When he hooked up with Randy Rhoads and put out that record, he shoved it up everybody's ass, including Black Sabbath. Sabbath was still trying to hang on. Sabbath was trying to hang on to relevancy, and Ozzy reinvented himself, bigger, better, stronger, with a guitar player that was just a madman. All respect to Tony Iommi, but Randy Rhoads will go down in infamy as well as one of the greatest.
And you can't say that Randy Rhoads did not influence Kirk Hammett of Metallica.
Oh yeah,
because Kirk Hammett appreciates a lot of the same runs and the same style that Randy had. Definitely.
The moment that riff hit, it was all over. Like everybody conceded. Like there's a new sheriff in town.
Absolutely.
When I was like 4 years old or 3 years old, I found my brother's Kiss records, and I was like the heavy metal kid, and that kind of put the spark into my whole life as being a musician and doing the things I did. But my dad was so against it. He thought heavy metal was like the devil's music. Ozzy was about to go out on his No More Tears tour. They picked Charlotte to do the warm-up show, and they picked Grady Cole Center.
Wow.
And the Grady Cole Center, if you've been there, is a basketball gym. And they only released 1,000 tickets, and they were only available at Repo Records. I went to my dad and was like, "I know this is crazy, but can I go to this show? I don't know how I'll get there. I'm 13. And he brushes me off. This is the same dad who wanted to send me to military school. And I was just so heartbroken. I'm like, Ozzy's going to be right here. And the next day I come home from school, and there's a green glitter ticket on the table. My dad had woke up, this old Southern hard-ass military guy, woke up and went to Repo Records, stood in line with all the metalheads and people smoking weed, drinking beers at 4 a.m. to stand in line, and got me a ticket. And I was so happy. And my dad, when the show came, he drove me up to Grady Cole and dropped me off early, and I got in line by myself. I make my way to the front of the stage. I'm holding on to the rails as this little fat 13-year-old kid, and Ozzy comes running out, and he does the Ozzy face at me, like, and right at me, and I'm just like, this is the best thing in my life, this is the best thing ever. And he throws water on me, I'm drenched, I'm singing every word. I was just in heaven. And at the end of the night, I go to the truck, and my dad could tell, he'd been there 10, 15 hours. He could tell I had the best time of my life. So he's like, how much are those shirts? And the guys that were selling bootleg shirts for $8 or $10, he bought me a bootleg shirt out in the parking lot for my Christmas gift. And that was if I'm on my deathbed and I think about my dad and him actually getting me and understanding me, that's the memory I'm going to have of my dad.
Dude, that is an absolutely awesome story.
And I still have
it's so personal and family oriented. That's amazing.
I still have the ticket. I sent Chris a copy of the ticket. I still have the ticket at home. I took a photo of it.
Why didn't you wear the shirt?
Wow.
I'm a little too big for the shirt. So Ozzy's signature send-off was, I love you all, God bless you. So I think it's only appropriate to say, God bless Ozzy Osbourne, and we love you.